Namaste, friends. Another Sunday and another Words of Wisdom Gyan Ganga on our Virat Hindustan Sangam social media channels. Today is episode number 223, and we are going to discuss in the next 45 minutes to an hour the Places of Worship Act 1991 and its implication for rebuilding the demolished temples. So, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy and our panel will be discussing this very important issue in view of various developments. And as you all know, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy is already in the Supreme Court nearly 2 or 3 years ago, having filed the writ petition challenging the Places of Worship Act 1991. So, with these words, it is over to Dr. Subramaniam Swamy for this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Jagdish. Let me say that, yes, you're right. 3 years ago, I had filed this matter in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court admitted it and issued notice. And then the government had to reply, and the government said, we are studying the matter. It will take time. And since then, 3 years have passed by. They still seem to be studying the matter. I don't know why. All that I'm saying is that which is not necessarily which is accepted by everybody in the country, but mine is the most reasonable, and it is backed by the top spiritual people and the then Sarsang Chalak of RSS, namely Guru Golwalkar, and supported now by the RSS as a continuation. Now, that is this, that any temple which was demolished by these invaders, if it is a temple that is site specific, so Ram temple is where Ram was born, and faith tells me that Ram was born here, where there was an existing temple which was demolished and a masjid built on top of it, and now we have rebuilt it on this exactly same place. Same thing with Krishna Janmabhoomi. It is the place where we believe that Krishna was born. That particular place, there's a masjid which is standing on top of a temple, which may have been broken and so on. And the third is Kashi Vishwanath temple, which is Gyanvapi as it's called. That where Lord Shiva put in the Jyotirling, burning Jyotirling with a ball of fire. There were 12 places, and 11 are now in place. Earlier on, the Muhammad Ghori, and then before that, perhaps Ghazni, and so on, 3-4 people came and demolished it in Gujarat. And then when India became independent, Sardar Patel went straight there, and he got it rebuilt. He got the support of Rajendra Prasad, and he got the support of Munshi and so many other people, all except Jawaharlal Nehru, who was critical and refused to go there. And Sardar Patel got that Jyotirling built, and which is really a kind of a tower. And then, of course, the Kashi Vishwanath, where there was a Jyotirling, which was set on a ball of fire by Lord Shiva, and that was broken 3 times. First time by Muhammad Ghori, and then some other Muslim character had come, he broke it, and both times it was rebuilt. And so the third time when Aurangzeb broke it, he said to the mullahs that, you see, if we just break it and go, then the Hindus will rebuild it again. So therefore, you build a masjid on top of it, even though it is against Islam to build a masjid on top of a religious place of another religion. But in exceptions, they are permitted to do it, and that's what he did. He used that exception. So the what is standing there is built on where the temple originally was, and that temple is area specific because Lord Shiva planted the Jyotirling there. It is area specific in Ram Mandir because Ram was born in a specific place, and so the temple cannot be shifted somewhere else. And Krishna Janma Bhoomi the same. So these three, out of how many they broke, at least we have a record of 40,000. But the general opinion of seasoned persons in not only in politics but in religion and philosophy, all had come together and took the stand that basically three are places where we cannot give up because they were born there and there's no other third place, another place for it. All the others are murtis, which our people, pujaris, took it and hid it, and the Muslims came and demolished it. So we can build it because there the prana pratishtha has been done for the murti. It is not because it's an area specific. Yeah, and for the case of Ram temple, we have just done. That's the spot we believe Ram was born, and that's why we have built the temple out there and nowhere else. There are many Ram temples all over the country, but the Ram Janmabhoomi is a specific one. So first of all, I would like to say to all those, we have a dispute amongst Hindus. There are radical Hindus who say that no, all 40,000 have to be rebuilt. And which means that you have to demolish 40,000 temple masjids and build a temple there. Then there are people who the really very, very senior sadhus, Guru Golwalkar and all, they said no, there is only three which are area specific, where Ram was born, where Krishna was born, and where the Jyotirling was planted or put in. So therefore these three, two are left, one is over, and we have to go forward on that. But Narasimha Rao was under heavy pressure from Sonia Gandhi and others when he tried to show some softness towards the Ram temple building. He even wrote me a letter which has been published in the white paper, and I've shown it to many of my friends, where he thanked me for it. Not only he thanked me, Said Shabuddin also said that the way you have put it, I think that we should agree and may do the masjid another place. Now, masjid is just a place to read namaz, and namaz you can read anywhere. You don't need a masjid. Masjid is when a congregation has to be there. But otherwise, you can put a dari and on a platform, railway platform, and do namaz. In the aeroplane, you can do namaz. You can do namaz on the road. Sometimes Muslims have met on the road and done wholesale namaz. So namaz, masjid is not a holy place. It can be demolished. It's a Supreme Court judgment of 1994 in which it is the Supreme Court held that except Makkah and Medina, two places. One, because Makkah is where Muhammad was there, and therefore it is special, and therefore it is something that cannot be disturbed. And the other is near Medina, where when Muhammad went in his horse up on the top of a rock, which is very famous, and therefore these two are considered holy, and they cannot be moved, they cannot be shifted. Otherwise, Turkey every year demolishes at least 15-20 masjids to build roads, or even Saudi Arabia does it, because these are masjids, but they are not special masjids. So I would like to say that all the three masjids, including the Gyan Vyapi masjid, it may have been built on the direction of Aurangzeb, but it is not holy. It can be shifted. Masjid is a place to reach namaz, and namaz can be read anywhere, and therefore shifting a masjid is okay. So this has to be explained, and it was explained when I argued in the Supreme Court, and the Muslim clerics all accepted it, which is why we had a peaceful transition to the building of Ram Mandir. So now, starting with that, we run into a roadblock. And the roadblock is the Places of Worship Act. This was passed in July of 1991, when Narasimha Rao had taken over office. I think he had taken it over in June, if I'm not wrong. Yes, it was in June 21st or something like that. And the first thing he did was to bring in this Places of Worship, in which he said that except Ram Janmabhoomi, all other places, the masjids or the temples or whatever, as it existed on the 15th of August 1947, shall not be disturbed. Which means it means that the Kashi Vishwanath, you can't touch it, because they were there existing in 1947, August 15th. Of course, Ram Janmabhoomi made an exception in the act itself. And then Krishna Janmabhoomi also cannot be revived, because it violates the Places of Worship Act. In my opinion, I have challenged it in the Supreme Court, and it was heard by Justice Lalit, and then notice was issued, and it was issued to the Government of India. As usual, the Government of India said, we will study the problem and come back and reply. And 3 years have gone. They're still studying, because most of the time, most of them are not literate enough to read, so they have to find somebody who can study and explain it to them. I think so. Why is it they're not doing it? And in the case of Kashi Vishwanath, it is where the Prime Minister is a MP from that area, elected from that area, not once but twice, despite being a Gujarati, because people had that faith. But today we find, when I was chosen by all the sadhus of North India, they met in Uttarakhand and decided that our commander-in-chief for Kashi Vishwanath will be Subramaniam Swamy, and the Prime Minister office phoned up the DG of police and said, go and tell the Shankaracharya of Kashi that he better dissolve this committee and remove Swamy completely from the presidential chairmanship of it. And so nothing was done till now. Now, after the success of the Ram Janmabhoomi case, I think there's so much demand that I asked one of my junior lawyers whose parents live in Varanasi to go there and check. His name is Vaidush Parth, and he a good lawyer, a coming up lawyer. He went there and he's produced a background. He met all the people there, and so I got an idea. So I am going to start the process of urging the Supreme Court now to hear this Places of Worship Act. Without Places of Worship Act matter being resolved, I don't think we can possibly go a step further in recovering. We are only two more left. One is done after three, and two left. Remaining 40,000. We can talk to the Muslim community of that local area and say, if you want, if you're agreeable, fine. If you're not agreeable, we'll shift. Because there's no need to fight. There's no area specificity of these temples. Temple is of two parts. One is the murti, which is done, prana pratishtha puja is done for, and the other is the sacredness of that area, arising due to other reasons, like Ram was born there, so that's sacred. And Shiva planted it in himself in one place, and that is sacred. I would say that Mr. Modi, if you care for Hindutva, move a petition in the Parliament, withdrawing this article of 1991 and free us from this idiotic law which was passed. I, of course, challenged it in Supreme Court, but in Supreme Court also it's all delay. No, it's like the Ram Setu being declared Rashtriya Dharohar, that is heritage monument. Mr. Modi is not acting on it for how many years now? Almost 10 years. So therefore, I would say I am not able to understand this, but and nor is the RSS able to put any pressure. I find, after all the temples of Uttarakhand were nationalized by Mr. Modi on Modi's direction. And what happened? I went to court and got it all undone. And again, now in Pandharpur, I find the BJP government of Maharashtra, they've gone and taken it over. I mean, I don't understand this, what this mentality is going on. We want to say that as per the Constitution, Article 25 and 26, temples, of course, all religious institutions of a certain kind, they all are to be not touched by the government. However, if there is a financial fraud, just for that limited part of that non-religious part of the temple management, the government can intervene, but fix it, repair it, and return it back. That is, if there's some hera-pheri on finance, then do a study, find out who the guilty people, put them under prosecution, and then get out. So this is the Subramaniam Swamy versus the Sabanagar temple case of 2014, where this has been laid down by the Supreme Court after I had approached it. So therefore, what I'm saying today is that if the question that we are now facing very strongly is how to see that Kashi Vishwanath and Mathura are liberated. One way is to scrap the act, which Mr. Modi can do with one sign on the dotted line. Move it in the Parliament, saying that we are withdrawing. This is an act of Parliament. It is not a constitutional matter. It's not. There's nothing constitutional about it. In fact, in my opinion, it's anti-constitutional. And if the Supreme Court hears my case, I will prove it. So, but the Supreme Court is not, to be done as come in every time the government doesn't do its work. It's the government's job to withdraw it, and we are committed to withdrawing it. And otherwise, it's also illegal. It is legally, it is not maintainable, which I can prove only in the court of law, because the government. I have written a long letter to Mr. Modi in 2015, explaining how this whole thing is an illegal act. It should be scrapped, and it was not by us. It was not by Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government. It was by whom? By Mr. Narasimha Rao. And I know that he was literally forced to do it. His heart was not in it. But I would say that this is something that we need to do. I would certainly urge all Hindu-minded people, and particularly the leaders of the RSS, to tell Mr. Modi that before the elections this time, you must scrap this Places of Worship Act, at least for these three. One is over, so no problem. But the other two, you make an amendment if you can't scrap it, you make an amendment to it and review it. But I don't know whether the Sangha will do it, because they normally don't interfere in government and political matters. They take interest in it and follow it, but they don't act on it, because they are really basically so involved in their own objectives of building a new youth in the country, that they don't want to find time for this, and they can't be, really speaking. They have already given Swayamsevaks to the party, and they are in the government. Swayamsevaks must behave like Swayamsevaks, but all of them, none of them is taking it up. In fact, I, who's not a Swayamsevak in the formal sense, do more for the objectives of RSS than they do. So now the question, therefore, is when can it be done? So therefore, all the sadhus got together, and a huge crowd, and they decided that I should lead the liberation of the Kashi Vishwanath temple. And no sooner it was announced, Mr. PMO, on the direction of the Prime Minister, called up the DG of the DG Police of Varanasi and told him, go straight to the Shankaracharya of Kanchi. There are nowadays lots of Shankaracharyas. Previously we had only 4 or 5, and now we have many. And so the Varanasi is a very holy place, and to go and meet the Shankaracharya and tell him that the Prime Minister is of the view that this committee you have formed should be dissolved, and Mr. Swamy as chairman should be removed. That's the direction we have got. And poor people, they have to run an ashram, and they have to run their own religious activities. I don't know. Something happened. They never told me that I don't think they removed me. What they did was they said that that organization is null and void. So everything became null and void. Very sad. And that is by a BJP Prime Minister. I think is something that is going to be a factor in the coming elections if he doesn't do it. And I made it very clear that it will be a campaign, that he is betrayed the Hindutva policy of the BJP, whatever we have adopted as within the Constitution of India, and therefore we need to go forward. There is no doubt that the Muslims will be unhappy, but then they must understand. I think it has to be explained to them that in 1947, it was the British who told us that we are going to create a Muslim Pakistan and a Hindu India. And we'll do it by 15th of August. Of 1947. Ambedkar was the one who said, grab it and have all the Muslims go to Pakistan and have all the Hindus come to India. It was rejected. In fact, Nehru condemned Ambedkar for saying so. But Ambedkar, he was the one who moved the constitution. He says the constitutional principle is this. So anyway, ultimately, of course, the constitution was adopted, but that was in 1949, and it came into effect on January 26th, 1950. But Ambedkar was of this view. Sardar Patel, heart was with Ambedkar, but Mahatma Gandhi was of the view, no, once the British leave, I'll unite both of them. So therefore, might as well, for the time being, let it continue this way. That was what Mahatma Gandhi said, but he was assassinated and he was no more. Then it was all Jawaharlal Nehru. And we are now in this situation. I would say to the Muslim population, we are not asking for 40. That is because we know that we can build it elsewhere. But these three, we will not give up. And the best thing is to find a nice place and get, as now the Babri Masjid masjid is now being built in Faizabad, which is now called, I think, also Ayodhya, and it's going to be a huge, beautiful thing. That's being, you have to see it. So I think instead of having all this old thing with the building of temples jutting out here and there, and the court saying you can do puja inside, even if you can't have it, all that. So I would say that we should make it very clear to the government that you have to withdraw the places of people, places of worship act, which was moved by Narasimha Rao government. Scrap it completely, or at least to say that we make 3 exceptions. If you make 3 exceptions, one is already over, and the other is 2 more. Make the exceptions for them also, and then say, okay, now anything that was there at August 15th, 1947, now cannot be demolished. All right, everybody will agree. But these 3 we have to restore, and is the duty of the BJP, because BJP has got now the mantle of the Hindutva mantle, and it has earned its credit. Although none of the BJP office bearers did anything for Ram Mandir, they only wanted to snatch the credit. That's about all. No problem. In due time, everybody will know the truth. The fact is that that today the nation should resolve and say we won't give a vote. And if Mr. Modi stands in the way, as he has done with the Ram Setu, for its heritage status, if he does it the same way for these temples, these 2 temples, then the resolution must be made by the people, and the sadhus should support it. Don't vote for Modi. Do vote for BJP, but not for Modi, because Modi, an individual, cannot hijack the ideology of a party. And no matter how great he is, how big he is, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you have violated the ideology of the party deliberately, willfully, and that to a religious issue, then I think he deserves that punishment, that he should not be, people should not vote for him. They should vote for BJP everywhere, because there is no other party. But as far as Varanasi is concerned, unless you pledge and take steps to restore the Kashi Vishwanath temple, where presently the masjid is standing, then we will consider you as anti-Hindu, and therefore you don't deserve our vote. So this is broadly what I would like to say, and I think we have got an extremely good opportunity now as the elections are coming. So over to Jagdish, please take it forward.
Dr. Swamy, some of our viewers want a quick answer that can the government, with whatever majority it has, scrap the act in parliament?
Yes,
they just want to know.
This is not a constitutional act. So therefore, a simple majority, which we have in both houses, can scrap it. And can take, like they have done in other matters, they can take 15 minutes to scrap it.
Yeah.
All it has to say. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. And as the Farm Act also, the same way this act can also be scrapped. That is what you are meaning, that government with a simple majority scrap the Farm Act, which was enacted.
Yes.
The same way it can scrap the Places of Worship Act. Because all the unbugs,
yes,
and gun bugs as usual,
Uh,
want to spread the canard that
uh,
unless you have two-third majority, you can't amend. So I wanted you to tell the viewers directly what exactly was the position.
yeah, they're idiots anyway. They're given a piece of paper and they're asked to say it. They don't need to be kicked out of the country. Okay.
Arvind,
Sir,
Arvind,
डॉक्टर
आपका
स्वामी
सवाल.
sir,
आपका सवाल पूछ
thank
लीजिए
you very
आनंद जी.
much.
Ramesh,
May-
no, Arvind, Ramesh, he's,
Okay, all right.
you will be summarizing anyway. So let's give Ramesh the opportunity.
All right.
So Dr. Swami,
And then
you mentioned. Okay. So
Go on.
Dr. Swami, as Jagdish ji asked, so this act, whatever they call, can be easily cancelled. I mean, with just a notification. Is that what you're telling? So there is no need to go to the parliament, look for majority or any of the dance and drama.
No, not by notification. You have to go back to the parliament and put it there and just have a voice vote, and nobody is going to object to it. I'm telling you, in this mood, nobody is going to object to scrapping of this act.
Correct.
In any case, we have got
And,
majority.
and the other thing you
Yeah.
mentioned, Dr. Swami, about people should not vote for Modi in Varanasi. Not
If-
only that, Dr.
if-
Swami, if
If he doesn't do this,
correct.
yeah,
But
I'm not.
he has already caused a lot of damage in Varanasi under the guise of building a corridor. Right? I mean, people have not forgotten that, and I think it behooves Modi that he realizes this. Not only has he destroyed many temples already in Varanasi under the guise of building the corridor, he needs to look at this Places of Worship Act very seriously, take it up very seriously. Two things, Dr. Swami, will have BJP win a thumping majority. One, cancel the Places of Worship Act, and two, declare Ram Setu as a national heritage body. Those are the two minimum things that he can do, on which is not very complicated. It is not, and that too, Ram Setu is sitting on his table. It doesn't even have to go to the parliament. He can
Yes.
pledge that he will do it later, but at least this one thing he does, that's all he needs to do, Dr. Swami. But he is only Hindutva in name only. He's a Hino. That's what I call him. Hindutva in name only. He's not doing anything for Hindutva at the end of the day. I think people will realize this fact during these elections, and it is important that he changes his tack plenty of time. And obviously, given where we are, BJP has to come back, no doubt about that. But when you come back, you have to come up, as you said, come back with full the leadership. Now, quickly to the Places of Worship Act, Dr. Swami. Why do we have to stick to only 40,000 temples? 3 temples. Why not 40? That is a lot of the questions. People, I'll tell you why. It's not me who's asking. There are a lot of these so-called self-proclaimed BJP Hindutva protectors of Hindutva who claim that we should go after 40. Anybody who's claiming only 3 is not a Hindu. So what do you have to say?
Well, let them say we are not a Hindu. I don't mind that, because my Hindu label is now well established. These idiots can't do. They are really angry that every time I've hijacked the whole thing, and I'll hijack this also. After all, what is your difficulty in shifting a temple which has nothing to do with the site? And you can build a more fancy temple of the same. Only the murti is to be protected. Take the murti and shift it, and build a much nicer. Yeah, I know that wow, how many temples he broke as chief minister? I know it. People came to me. Ashok Singhal came to me with tears in his eyes. Please stop him. I went and spoke to him, and I said, why are you doing this? You're making people unhappy. He said, "Nahi, ab to ho gaya, jo hona tha ho gaya, no problem." So this is what happened at that time. There's nothing about it. He's more like Ravan in his religion than anything of a worshipping Hindu. So I think the question is, it really don't matter. I would say if he does not change for these 3 places, one exception is already made in the act. So why not the other 2? Because Ram was born at a particular place, my faith says he was born there, so I can't shift him. So therefore, he is to be exempted. The same way with Krishna. Everybody believes there's a one particular place and it can't be
Right.
shifted. And the Jyotirling, same thing. The Nandi is sitting there looking at the Jyotirling, which is not there just now. So he has no excuse. And if he stands, I would certainly say that we should all campaign and say he should be defeated.
One last thing, viewers. This is a point to you. There are so self-proclaimed Hindutwati lawyers or luminaries that they claim themselves to be Hindutva fighters. They don't have a leg to stand on, but for one case, single most important case, the Sabanagar temple case. Without that, all these guys don't have legs. So all these jokers who claim that, we will have to get all 40,000 instead of 3 and all this claiming that they're Hindutva, please check yourself a little bit, because none of you guys will have any success in any court. You can go scream your hell out and go on TV. None of that is going to help. The key, all of them are arguing on the most important case, that it was because of Dr. Swamy that we won the Sabanagar temple case. That is the basis for every case on every temple that is happening today, that will happen for centuries to come. Please remember that. That is the most important point that all of us have to remember. Arvind ji, आप कुछ पूछना चाहते हैं?
या सबसे पहले तो मैं डॉक्टर स्वामी को बधाई देता हूँ कि डॉक्टर स्वामी ने जितने भी हिंदुत्व से जुड़े मुद्दे हैं उन पे न्यायालय की शरण ली है, और समूचा हिंदू समुदाय उनका ऋणी है और ऋणी रहेगा, खासतौर से राम सेतु हो या राम टेम्पल हो या दूसरे मुद्दे हों। अब जब डॉक्टर स्वामी के सहयोगी ने घोषणा कर दी है कि डॉक्टर स्वामी अपने आप को कंप्लीट कर रहे हैं बनारस के केस में भी, so this will, I think the Hindus are more happy and they have got now confidence कि अब हो जाएगा। अब जब डॉक्टर स्वामी से जुड़ जाएंगे तो हो जाएगा। डॉक्टर स्वामी, मेरा सवाल आपकी जो पूर्व पहले की मांग था उससे है, 1991 में जब ये पूजा स्थल विधेयक नरसिम्हा राव सरकार लाई थी, उस समय बीजेपी ने इसका घोर विरोध किया था, और उस घोर विरोध का कारण ये था कि वो कह रहे थे ये एक समुदाय को तुष्टीकरण के लिए किया जा रहा है, तुष्टीकरण। लगातार वो कई वर्षों तक इस बात को उठाते रहे। 1996 में जब उनकी सरकार आई अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी के नेतृत्व में, जो 6 साल चली, उन्होंने इस मुद्दे का नाम नहीं लिया। 2014 से मोदी जी की सरकार है, अब 10 साल हो रहे हैं, यानी कि 6 साल वाजपेयी जी के और 10 साल मोदी जी के, 16 साल इनको हो गए, और 16 साल में इन्होंने नाम नहीं लिया। और किस प्रकार की ये पार्टी है जो ये कहती है कि हम हिंदुत्व के लिए काम कर रहे हैं, अगर ये विधेयक को स्क्रैप भी नहीं कर सकते, अगर ये विधेयक के लिए काम भी नहीं कर सकते जो इनके हाथ में था। 1996 में वाजपेयी जी जरूर थोड़े दिन के लिए, 13 दिन के लिए जब आए थे तो उनकी माइनॉरिटी सरकार थी, लेकिन बाद में पूरी सरकार बन गई, और उसके बाद दोबारा 5 साल के लिए वो आ गए। मोदी जी 2 टर्म ले चुके हैं। तो ये कौन सी मानसिकता है जो इनको ऐसा करने से रोक रही है? पहला सवाल। दूसरा सवाल मेरा ये है कि आप हमारे दर्शकों को ये भी बताएं, viewers are interested in knowing that how many different petitions including yours are pending in the Supreme Court, and how your petition is different from the others. We all know that you were the first petitioner to demand the scrapping of this bill, either scrapping of the bill or adding Kashi and Mathura in this bill. There are other people who followed suit after you had taken the initiative. देवकी नंदन ठाकुर हो, अजय उपाध्याय हो, या दूसरे संगठन जितने भी हैं, सब बाद में आए, आप सबसे पहले आए। और जब आप सबसे पहले आए तो आप हमारे दर्शकों को ये भी बताएं कि आपकी मांग और दूसरे पिटिशनर्स की मांग में क्या फर्क है?
नहीं, बाकी सारे लोग, ये 3 को छोड़ दो, बाकी बने रहे, ये मेरा है। बाकी लोग कहते हैं नहीं, सारा 40,000 उसको रिस्टोर करना है। अब ये कौन मैनेज करेगा, कौन करेगा, ये नहीं, कितने, यानी आखिर में आपको जाकर पूजा करना है तो 3 ही जगह में जो परिस्थिति है, जो जगह है, वो है जो हम पूज्य मानते हैं। बाकी सब में जमीन को तो बिल्कुल नहीं मानते हैं। जहां मंदिर खड़ी है उसको बिल्कुल नहीं मानते, मूर्ति को मानते हैं, प्राण प्रतिष्ठा से वो मूर्ति बन के रखी गई है। तो इसीलिए मैं ये कहता हूं कि मेरा अभिप्राय है कि 3 कोच होने के बाद बाकी जो 40,000 में है वो कहीं भी बनाया जा सकता है, बनाना चाहिए, वो मैं मानता हूँ। और शानदार बनानी चाहिए, लेकिन वो वहीं बनानी चाहिए जहाँ मस्जिद खड़ी है। ये हमारी तोड़कर की है। इसमें हमें अब हम तो विजय हुए हैं, मुसलमान गायब हो गया, अभी औरंगजेब का कोई वारिस है ही नहीं। मैंने बहुत ढूंढा कि औरंगजेब का कोई वारिस है, कुछ नहीं मिला। मुगलों का कोई है, वो भी ढूंढते ढूंढते पता लगा, एक बुढ़ी सियालदा रेलवे स्टेशन में वेटिंग रूम में पैसा दे बिना वो वहाँ बैठी है। ये मैंने पार्लियामेंट में भी 1977 में बोला था, तो कम से कम उसको थोड़ा पेंशन देना चाहिए। तो अंग्रेज गया कंप्लीटली, वो उसका नाम निशाना नहीं है। तो आई एम ओनली सेइंग वन थिंग, दैट these 3 are area specific and therefore they have to be restored, number 1. And the remaining also should be restored, but it doesn't matter. A better place, more available to near to some highway or something, where people can easily come, where, our temples have always been multicultural temples. You can have Bharatanatyam there, you can have learn Sanskrit there, you can have mithai there. It is a mela. People come for the whole day sometimes to visit the temple. You go, even now if you go to Ujjain, you will find that. So therefore, I think we Hindus should be practical instead of just wasting time on just finding the exact spot and then demolishing a masjid and then building a temple on it. It is not worth the effort.
Hey, Dr. Swamy, it's not only demolition or demand for demolition in all the places. Even if the court agrees to your request of adding Kashi and Mathura in the act, पूजा स्थल जो places of worship है, लेकिन तमाम जगह ऐसा है कि लोग इस तरह की मांग उठाएंगे। मध्य प्रदेश में इंदौर के पास एक स्थान है जहाँ वाग्देवी सरस्वती जी की प्रतिमा है, वहां भी नमाज पढ़ी जाती है, वहां भी विवाद होगा। हिंदुस्तान के कम से कम 100 स्थल ऐसे हैं जहां पे किसी न किसी रूप में there has been some kind of agitation by a Hindu community to demand the takeover or demolition or whatever of the religious place of the other religion. In India, at least 100 places are there. So what is the guarantee that if Supreme Court allows your petition and government obeys Supreme Court's order by adding Kashi and Mathura, the other demands will not surface later on?
No, then you must have people who can talk to both sides, the hotheads on both sides, you see. It's not necessary, for a long time, the Muslims are not agreeable to shift Babri Masjid. You see, even after it was demolished, they said, no, now we have all the more reason we have to. Ultimately, you see, there was a lot of background work which was done. Shishi Ravi Shankar also contributed in this very substantially. So we have to find our own sadhu sannyasi who will go and talk to their mullahs and sit down and then try to create an atmosphere. After all, this is a democracy, and we can't just agree to anybody who wants anything. Mob we will not tolerate, and we know how to pull down mobs also. And I think my view is that the majority of the people say, "Teen ho gaya." All the others, as long as you rebuild them somewhere, we are not insisting they should be done by. I think that's how I think the Hindu psyche is there.
So, if this kind of statement comes from, let's say, all 4 Shankaracharyas, do you think it will help that all 4 Shankaracharyas together come and tell the Supreme Court that if the Supreme Court allows in 1991 Act these two places, Kashi and Mathura, then Hindu community, because ultimately some authority has to be there over Hindu community also, and the authority can come from Shankaracharyas.
As far as the petition in the Supreme Court, you don't need any persuasion from Shankaracharyas for the judges. They are also, the ones that are there are all Hindus. I know them. They know it very well. Many of them are very religious also. The question basically is the logic.
Right.
And the logic is I am using, I can't go anywhere else. Right. It is Ram Janmabhoomi. This is what I argued. My fundamental right is that. And that was accepted. So I'm saying these two also they will accept. And as far as the others are concerned, I think the government has an authority. They have a government. There is a government. We should talk to people. And I would say the Hindu psychology is always, if it's possible to do it peacefully, do it peacefully. If you have no other way to do it, then we fight. But this is not a question of fighting. This is a question of having a temple which doesn't exist for a long time. People have not been going to that temple. So you build it somewhere else, or you go and tell Modi to restore all the temples that he has demolished in Gujarat. You see, you can't have double standards in these matters.
And sir, how long do you think government will take to respond to the notice which Supreme Court has given them?
It is really the Chief Justice who has to take a stand. Any more extensions? He has to tell the Solicitor General. He has taken 3 years. For what? Just a question whether
more than 6 years.
Huh?
Ram Setu, they have not responded. They're saying something is being done, something is being done. And what is being done, they are not selling it only on your request to make it a national heritage.
Ram Setu is not anymore in the Supreme Court.
Okay.
The Supreme Court came because I went there saying that they are not implementing what was agreed to. And that's a limited thing. But I hear, what is the problem? The culture department under Prahlad Patel, who was a minister for it.
Culture minister.
I was personally invited to address the officials to remove all their doubts. I went to the ministry. The thing was prepared and then sent to Modi. And probably he came to know that I was the one who persuaded them. So there goes Swamy ka naam kar do. See, don't do it.
Dr. Swamy.
You'll learn the hard way. You see. So I'm only saying that this is a Ram Setu is a settled affair. It has been cleared by the cabinet. And all that Modi has to do is put his signature and send it to the PMO saying implement it, to declare it as a heritage monument. इसको क्या वहां जाके अभी पूजा करके आया? I think it's like Ravan going to do puja.
What hypocrisy! What hypocrisy!
Yes.
So, Dr. Swamy, I have one important thing again, what the viewers need to know. What happened in 1991, 12th September, Dr. Swamy? You were in the parliament. This topic of this act came into 1991 when you were in parliament on 12th September. You walked out of the parliament, right? Can you walk us through that?
Yes, I walked out because there was no discussion. I said, go send it to the select committee. Let us have a full-fledged discussion. This is a very important thing. But Madam Sonia Gandhi was giving him bamboo, and he was just become prime minister, and he didn't want to be seen. He was already being accused. That he's a Brahmin and he's got leaning towards the Hindutva and all that stuff. Probably because they didn't expect that Narasimha Rao will live so long. And he lived beyond 4 months. He was told that he would die in 4 months, but his health improved. His heart also improved. And so he wanted to mollify them. And that's why he did this. It is such a third-rate act to see, and it was not even passed. He won't even agree to a joint select committee. That's why I, as a friend of Narasimha Rao, walked out. I said, I can't stand this. This is probably the only time in my life I have walked out from Parliament.
And one more thing, Dr. Swamy, you said Sonia Gandhi controlled Narasimha Rao back then. I think that control is still existing today because this Ram Setu is not being declared for some strange reason. For this, that implicit pressure is still on, as far as I'm concerned. Otherwise, there is no reason to do this. I mean, what is the pressure on? One last suggestion, Dr. Swamy, in future, don't file cases in your name. Okay, file it as Narendra Damodar Swamy, maybe you'll win.
Heavy price.
Arvindji, Jagdish, you have any questions?
I'm telling you.
Your question is, yes, Jagdish, you want to say something?
No, you go ahead.
Ramesh, the answer to your question is why Modi ji is not doing it. And despite of people like Dr. Swamy being in BJP, in fact, people appreciate that he is one of the rare cases where people in BJP are raising voices. Otherwise, nobody is even asking for anything, and everybody is so meek and silent that whatever is being done is being implemented. But my statement is that BJP has been Congressized. You know, Dr. Lohia, I remember Dr. Lohia in 60s used to say, when Jansangh was there, the opposition party, he used to say, in this country there are two Jansanghs. One is the Hindu Jansangh, which is Jansangh actually led by Deen Dayal Upadhyay, later on Balraj Madhok and others. Same party which actually converted into BJP in 1980. And Lohia used to say, there's another Jansangh called Muslim Jansangh. So Congress used to be called Muslim Jansangh by Dr. Lohia. Now what has happened today to the BJP? BJP is nothing but a Muslim Jansangh. So they are talking about Pasmanda Musalman, they're talking about this. In fact, I was told in 14 to 19, when Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi was the minority minister, money has been sanctioned for the benefit of minorities more than what has been done in the Congress regime.
Entire regime.
I'm saying countries, everybody. I'm not saying the country, this should benefits only should go to Hindus. But then you should not claim that you are a party for Hindutva, because except corridors, you have done nothing. You have a Banaras corridor, you have Ujjain corridor, you have now they are going for Guwahati in the Kamakhya corridor. Local people, Vrindavan corridor. People are not happy. Local people are not happy. But you are saying corridor. Corridor is not the Hindutva alone. There is much more beyond that. And Dr. Swamy has been raising that within the party. But for example, cow slaughter, he was the first person to have brought that bill. And he was told by the party people that please withdraw the bill, which was a private member bill. Please withdraw that bill. We will bring the government, the bill from the government. But nothing has happened so far after so many years. So that is so much for the Hindutva. Ramesh, that is your question. They
successfully slaughtered the bill. They successfully slaughtered the bill.
Yes, indeed.
No. Just
even on the cow, I had majority in Parliament. Yeah.
No, I just want to tell our viewers that Dr. Subramaniam Swamy and Virat Hindustan Sangam is committed to fight for the temples and the surrounding people who are around important temples who have been being displaced in the name of corridor. It is happening in Badrinath. It is happening in Kedarnath. It is happening in Pandharpur. It is happened in Ujjain. It is happening in Haridwar. And it is happening at numerous religious places. Government wants to convert these religious places into a tourist spot. We must maintain the religious sanctity of the place, improve the infrastructures, but you can't be demolishing 300, 500, 600-year-old equally important smaller shrines around the temple. मैं अरविंद जी से विनंती करूंगा कि ये जो डॉक्टर स्वामी का कार्यक्रम है ये लोगों को बताए, क्योंकि कॉरिडोर के नाम पे क्या हो रहा है. कृपा करके अरविंद चतुर्वेदी ये जो
Yeah.
VHS का और डॉक्टर स्वामी का लक्ष्य ये लोगों के सामने आप रखे?
मैं बताना चाहता हूं दर्शकों को, ऐड करना चाहता हूं जो जगदीश जी ने कहा है, और मैंने पहले भी कहा कि डॉक्टर स्वामी शायद एक अकेले व्यक्ति हैं भारतीय जनता पार्टी के अंदर जो इन मुद्दों को, जो हिंदुत्व से जुड़े हुए हैं और जो वास्तव में जुड़े हैं, उनको उठाते रहे हैं। डॉक्टर स्वामी पहले व्यक्ति थे जिन्होंने अपनी सरकार के विरोध में उत्तराखंड में जब देवस्थान विधेयक लाया गया था, डॉक्टर स्वामी कोर्ट गए। उन्होंने पहले, डॉक्टर स्वामी ने अपील की सरकार से कि इसको विड्रॉ करें, ये गलत है, लेकिन जब सरकार ने नहीं माना तो उनको न्यायालय की शरण लेनी पड़ी और न्यायालय ने बाद में उसको रद्द किया। उत्तराखंड सरकार ने इसमें बाद में वापस लिया अनेक दबावों के बावजूद। बट वही कार्य बीजेपी की सरकार जो अपने घोषणा पत्रों में लगातार लिखती आ रही है कि हम हिंदुत्व के लिए लड़ रहे हैं, हिंदुत्व के जो कॉज है उनके लिए हम प्रगति के लिए काम करते आ रहे हैं, लेकिन हो दूसरा रहा है। कागज पे कुछ और है, घोषणा पत्र में कुछ और है, नियति कुछ और है, दिखावा कुछ और है, असल में जो काम हो रहा है वो दूसरा है। हर जगह वृंदावन से लेकर उत्तराखंड देवस्थान से लेकर केदारनाथ, बद्रीखांड, जो आपने नाम लिया जगदीश जी, पंढरपुर में आप स्वयं 3 बार गए हैं डॉक्टर स्वामी के साथ, और वहां पे जो जनता का सपोर्ट, जनता का समर्थन डॉक्टर स्वामी को मिला है, हर स्थान पर जहां भी कॉरिडोर बन रहा है जनता समर्थन नहीं कर रही है, स्थानीय जनता समर्थन नहीं कर रही है, और अकेले डॉक्टर स्वामी हैं। तमिलनाडु में जो डॉक्टर स्वामी ने सवा नायक मंदिर का जो केस लड़ा था, उस केस में जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जो निर्णय आया था वो एक नजीर था, वो एक उदाहरण था। सरकार को उससे सबक लेना चाहिए था, लेकिन सरकार उससे सबक लेने के बजाय कागज पे कुछ और कह रही है, और हिंदुओं के विरोध में, हिंदू मत के विरोध के बावजूद ये कॉरिडोर बनाने का, अब कॉरिडोर में उनका क्या निजी हित है ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा, राष्ट्र हित या हिंदू हित तो समझ में नहीं आता, लेकिन जरूर कॉरिडोर निर्माण में किसी न किसी रियल एस्टेट वाले का या कंस्ट्रक्शन कंपनी का कोई हित जरूर है। कौन इसको करवा रहा है? आपके देवेंद्र फडणवीस हैं पंढरपुर में, वो उसके समर्थन में है। वृंदावन में जो लोकल स्थानीय सरकार है वो इसके समर्थन में है। कामाख्या का भी उदाहरण हुआ है, उज्जैन का सबने देख लिया है, कितने डिमोलिशन उज्जैन में किए गए और कितने डिमोलिशन बनारस में किए गए, जो मंदिर तोड़े गए। ये बहुत बड़ा कार्ड है। शंकराचार्य, कई शंकराचार्य ने भी इसका जिक्र किया है। मुझे बताते हुए ये खुशी है कि अकेले डॉक्टर स्वामी कोर्ट में गए हैं। पंढरपुर का भी जो मामला है वो न्यायालय में है, और बहुत जल्दी हमें विश्वास है कि वो डॉक्टर स्वामी के हक में निर्णय आएगा उसका।
Okay, Arvind, now it's more than an hour.
Okay, it's almost 9 o'clock.
So, Dr. Swamy, हम लगातार पिछले 3 हफ्ते से, for last 3 weeks, we have been discussing things related to Ayodhya. On 21st January, on the eve of Pran Pratishtha, we had a function, debate on Ram Temple at Ayodhya. Next week also, and even today. So, the 3rd week continuation of VHS, and our support we get from the viewers in the form of comments, that has been very encouraging, and it is an indication that this kind of debate people are not only liking, but people want somebody to raise these issues, and they are grateful to VHS as comments are seen here, that that we are doing it. Thank you, Dr. Swamy, for continuously raising this issue. Thanks, Jagdish and Ramesh, for coordinating this huge program that we are doing week after week for last 4 years now, almost 4 years now. And thanks the technical team led by Ashish Chetty. You're doing a wonderful job. Ishwar Ayer, Gadgi Rakesh, Swaminathan, Tejas Navalgul, Vishal Mehta, Najesh Nair. VHS with this technical team, the technical team's work has led. Of course, Ramesh has been guiding on technical front also. So it has been a wonderful program, and we'll continue. Before I just conclude, let me share with the viewers that next week we are likely to take up the budget issue. Since the hard copy papers were not available this week, so we had this issue of Places of Worship Act. Next Sunday, 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time, we'll be with you with a discussion on budget. Dr. Swamy will certainly be there. We may also invite some other financial expert. Till then, Namaskar, Jai Hind.
जय हिंद, धन्यवाद।